What's a good word, everyone? It's your boy DKB here. I just want to say thanks for all the support. The channel's been steadily growing, and the number you see below, you can drop a text, shoot a voicemail, any ideas, topics, collabs, etc. you guys want to see. I'll include them in future videos and live streams, and I'll catch you again. Be easy. What's a good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here. I've been fascinated with Darren Mougey and Aaron Glenn's free agent approach this year because there's a lot of layers, a lot of complexity to this entire situation. Aaron Glenn's already announced that he wants to win now. He's not really looking at this as a rebuild. He wants to be able to go out there and make the playoffs in year one. I'm assuming Darren Mougey is working off the same sentiment. We've already heard the press conferences where they want everybody walking in lockstep, right? But you still have to pay attention to the context of the situation, the scenarios the New York Jets find themselves in. For one, we aren't in a true rebuild as we've seen in many years past, right? You have your superstars on the roster, Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen, Quincy, you can argue Jamie and Sherwood. Now, there's enough guys, right? Joe Tippmann showing out, ABT still looking like a quality first round pick. You have Simpson who balled out, Fashanu coming on late. So 4 out of 5 positions on the O line locked up, a star at almost every level, offensively and defensively. It's a lot more to work with than what we've seen from previous regimes. But when you think about, and I've alluded to this in other examples, but I just think about it simply as if you're talking about building a house, you're not going to start with the roof. You're going to start with the foundation, and then you're going to start looking at putting in the support beams and electricity and all the niceties that'll come with it after. That is the situation the Jets find themselves in, where we need to figure out how to best support the stars that are on this roster that we are identifying are going to stick around for the long term with us, right? A lot of guys coming up on secondary contracts here, but we don't really have a team that could weather injury or guys that fit that next man up model when it comes to being able to come in and fill in the skill set for the guy above them, or even be able to outproduce in certain situations. And you're seeing that play out in free agency, where it's definitely a lot of value additions, a lot of guys that have certain skill sets that have balled out from an efficiency standpoint, but they're not going to be household names. It's not going to be the classic New York Jets free agent approach where we've just been dishing out a ton of money. And it's not to say that I even love all the moves in free agency, but this makes the competition at the lowest rings of our roster, right? Those third string, fourth string guys. This ups the competition so much, and it puts the onus on Darren Mougey, which from everything that we've heard since he was announced, since we've got the background, the history, since we've checked in on the sources that have really been with him from the Broncos and even in past times, many people have looked at him as kind of a talent evaluation savant. This is a guy that knows what he's looking for. He knows what guys fit a motto, what guys fit a team's DNA, etc. And he's betting on himself here in year one because he really needs to hit it out of the park since they focused on so many depth pieces. I mean, you take a look at what you can argue some of our top needs are, but just in general here, still arguably maybe a quarterback one. Ideally, you're talking about a rookie here, right? I don't see there being another veteran addition or anything like that. But a quarterback in some version that's going to be able to compete for a future backup spot, or even ideally compete in year one to see if he can earn the starting job, excuse me. A wide receiver 2 or 3. I like the Tyler Johnson addition based on what we've seen, but he's probably going to fall into that, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 territory. Ideally, number 4, because he also doesn't bring a ton of special teams value for us. So he'll have to really cut his teeth on whatever he can produce in the receiving game this offseason. A tight end 1. We still don't have one. Stone Smart, another addition I really, really like. At this point, you can't count on Jeremy Rucker to make any kind of significant leap. Same thing with the Zach Kuntz. Kenny Yeboah is out the door now, and I don't see us necessarily making a significant move at this point. And we'll talk about the draft here in a moment. A right tackle, an edge, and probably that edge 2 or 3 spot, right? Just depending on how they feel about Jermaine Johnson and if he should be one of the incumbent starters that'll be looking to attack the quarterback. A defensive tackle that you compare with Quinnen Williams, so a starting level player. A linebacker 3, Jamin Davis is out there, Chaz Surratt, which the previous regime liked. There's still some guys that could compete internally for that before you even look to, go to the draft or anybody else in free agency. You need a cornerback four, and we gave all that money to Brandon Stevens. He's pretty much locked in as a cornerback two, but you did lose Brandon Eccles. Maybe Quantez Stiggers defaults into that role, but he's not looking to just necessarily go quietly into the back of the depth chart either. But Stevens got a lot of money, and I'm. It is what it is, right? Politics creeps into every team. You don't want to see that your $23 million investment is your spot starter, right? The guy that's coming in when people need a break. Um, it would essentially be a little bit of a waste of money there. And then you're still potentially looking at a safety. I know we brought in Andre Cisco, Tony Adams was tendered, but you probably want to throw some more competition into there. Even at the very least, safety three is going to be a pretty pivotal spot for us, especially since Jalen Mills kind of announced is highly unlikely he's going to return. And then probably somebody to add to the kicker room. Greg Zerline took a step back. We seen them add a punter a few days ago in order to help out Thomas Morstead and see who really walks away from that job. So there's a lot of work that can still be done here, but you're still talking about a lot of significant role players or starting opportunities up for grabs. Now, in the general perception of the draft, rounds 1 through 3, you're looking for starting level players or key guys, key role guys out the gate, right? Think your wide receiver, a deep threat. Think, excuse me, your defensive tackle that's maybe just an elite run stopper slash pass rusher, et cetera, et cetera. Rounds 4 through 7 is when you really take a look at building up special teams, building up the back end of the depth chart. But if we already have a lot of those spots covered, that means now you're looking for essentially starting level talent or key role players throughout the entirety. And some of these guys will still be competing, of course, with the guys on the depth chart. But now your day 3 guys are going to be the ones that are easily identified to probably end up on the chopping block if we don't end up nailing those picks. In the top rounds, it's easy to identify some of these guys that you get excited about. Mason Graham as a partner to Quentin Williams, Will Johnson, the cornerback. Now is probably unlikely with us talking about, potentially having our 1st through 4 spots marked already, that we take a cornerback high. Tyler Warren, Tetaroa McMillan, who also just blazed a 4.48, so he's kind of answered some of those speed questions. And then the pick that many people are starting to jump on board with, which is Armand Mimbu as the new right tackle. As you start to go through the rest of these days, though, bigger question marks creep up and maybe some positions start to get eliminated already. You look at not needing to invest in running back per se. You can go through undrafted free agency to really help supplement things. But quarterback, wide receiver, tight end on the offense, all with starting or key role player needs. Defensive tackle, safety, and then you're really talking about special teams units, kicker, etc. But it's pretty open, right? I don't know how we'll necessarily play this, and I plan on dropping my first 7-round mock draft. Hopefully by like the end of this week, middle of this week, we'll see how it pans out. Time permitted. But let me know what you guys think. I think this is the approach that I prefer to see. I would love to see the thought process and the mentality be, let's try to find starters for our scheme throughout the entirety of the draft. And realistically, that's just not how things play. There's not enough starting level talent in general throughout the entirety of the NFL draft. But I'm curious how we'll play this out specifically with the day 3 guys, because I think you'll find some value additions in rounds 1 through 3, just based on how the boards fall, some of the picks. You're talking about quarterbacks that'll get pushed up the board, probably more likely on day 2 as well. So we'll see how it plays out, but let me know what you guys think. What would you grade, I guess, our free agency approach, and what are you looking for specifically on day 3 in the draft? And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.